Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. Let's talk about Tyler, the creator over here, and some comments he made in a post-Grammys interview after winning a Grammy. He is now Grammy winner, the creator, for his new record, Igor, which I loved. You loved. It won in the hip-hop album of the year category. Before I get too deep into this, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the good people over at The Ridge. They make these nifty, awesome, metal-plated, minimalist wallets that fit nicely in your front pocket. Been rocking mine for months now. Love it. You can get your own via the link down below and use promo code MELON. Now, Tyler, the creator, in this post-interview, which we will listen to, was reacting because he was being asked about it. The bombshell allegations leveled by the recently ousted Grammys CEO, Deborah Dugan, we will link you to this article as well down below, who in her allegations, after being ousted for allegedly creating a toxic work environment, which may well be true, I'm not sure. You know, there's accusations going left and right, but Deborah has, post this whole ousting, has seemed to have had the most to say and the most to expose, which includes sexual harassment, which includes money being wasted left and right on consultants, which also includes biases and conflicts of interest in the nomination process, leading to artists being nominated that shouldn't have been nominated or just merely being nominated because of the connections they have to the people who are involved in the nomination process. So things that, as music fans, if you've been paying attention, we've assumed and certainly manifest themselves in who wins and who doesn't. I very much assume that this is the reason, you know, you see things like Good Kid, Mad City losing to Macklemore. But again, I'm not going to get too deep into this. We will link you to the article because I'm not trying to go over every single one of these allegations. They're out there. Artists are aware of them and discussing them. Even Eminem, in that Sway interview, kind of went on his own diatribe talking about these very same problems a while ago. We talked about that interview on this channel too, some of the things that came up in that interview. And here are Tyler's thoughts in reaction to winning the Grammy, all these allegations, and basically how he feels about being a Grammy winner with knowing kind of the toxic culture that is surrounding the Grammy brand and the music industry at large.
You know, in recent days, there's been a lot of news about the voting process at the Grammys. Has any of that affected the way that you're looking at winning this award today?
I'm half and half on it. On one side, I'm very grateful that what I made could just be, you know, acknowledged in a world like this. But also, it sucks that whenever we, and I mean guys that look like me, do anything that's genre bending or that's anything, they always put it in a rap or urban category, which is, and I don't like that urban word. It's just a politically correct way to say the N-word to me. So when I hear that, I'm just like, why can't we just be in pop? Why can't it just, you know what I mean? So I felt like half of me feels like the rap nomination was a backhanded compliment. Like, oh, my little cousin wants to play the game. Let's give him the unplugged controller so he could shut up and feel good about it. That's what it felt like a bit. But another half of me is very grateful that the art that I made could be acknowledged on a level like this when I don't do the radio stuff. I'm not played in Target. I'm in a whole different world than what a lot of people here listen to. So I'm grateful and like,
You know, one thing I like about this reaction and this explanation from Tyler is that as he's saying it, he's genuinely awkward while he's putting these words out, because I wonder if in the back of his head he's wondering potentially how many bridges he could be burning by being as honest as he is in this situation with his feelings and how he perceives the situation here. As far as how he explains it, as somebody who watches the Grammys and as somebody who follows music very closely, I feel like he is on the money. I and other people have been saying for a while, the whole urban categorization of awards and songs and albums is really just a way of saying, like, this is black people music. And that's really, truly all it is. I feel like at a time and in a certain context, especially radio, talking about radio markets, urban markets versus other markets in radio, it makes a bit more sense. Talking about audiences and audience demographics and who certain playlists and hosts and again, radio programming is going to appeal to. But as far as like album genres, like music fans are not like, oh, bro, like, what are your top 5 urban artists, man? What are your top 5 urban artists? Yo, man, did you hear this new album? It's going to change the urban music game, bro. Like, nobody categorizes music like this outside of the fucking music industry. That's because this terminology doesn't make sense to anybody who's not in the fucking music industry, because the music industry is a fucking la-la land where everything is turned up on its head. To average music fans and listeners, this category does not make sense. And it also says that you're not really paying attention to the artist. You're not really paying attention to the albums and the styles of music within the albums. You're just looking at the skin color of the artist and just categorizing it based on that. I would even say that Tyler is suffering from a bit of bias based on the fact that he has made hip hop in the past. Just because Tyler has made hip hop records does not mean that Igor is just simply a hip hop record that isn't worthy of an Album of the Year nomination, or that Earthquake isn't like worthy of being placed into the pop category, because it's not just like some rap song. I feel like in a way Lizzo also suffered from this a bit. I don't know why she didn't have more sway in the pop categories. But again, I feel like that is based on this limitation that Tyler is talking about. While I agree with, and I think it's amazing that he's excited and humbled and grateful that he got a Grammy. The Grammys are a very long-standing institution, and regardless of these biases, it's an honor to get a Grammy. And it's super impressive and flattering for any artist to receive such an award and get the kinds of kudos from the industry that comes along with, especially considering that, like he just said, he doesn't go big in radio markets. He's not like DJ Khaled, vlogging in his car saying, "How are these albums beating me that you never hear it? You never hear it. It's like it's secret." That's because DJ Khaled and people who look at music in that way are kind of dum-dums, and they don't understand that the online space, streaming has democratized what is selling and what is popular and what is not. That is why people like Tyler, and also why people like Billy, can be as successful as they are and connect with fans on an emotional level and allow them to get into something that's a bit more substantive. Instead of just like whatever the most formulaic, disgustingly focused grouped, boring, soulless, high gloss, sterile bit of pop production that you could put in front of them as quickly as you can on TV or the radio is. A bit of a diatribe there, but still. They're offering something better and more interesting, and there are a lot of fans out there who are taking that option thanks to the internet giving them the ability to do so. So it's amazing that allows Tyler to have this platform, but that platform is not being fully acknowledged. As the Grammys are typically late to the party on this sort of thing. Look at the fact that BTS and K-pop in general had so little representation amongst the awards and nominations, despite K-pop being one of the biggest cultural forces in music across the world and in America of the past couple of years. Again, the Grammys, despite the fact that I think they are doing better, I think that they are reacting a bit more to what the fans want, and they're actually paying attention to what is resonating with the fans, not just what is doing numbers in traditional markets or by traditional metrics. They're not just picking who is going to win based on the widest and whitest markets of listeners and audiences. It's nice to see that is slightly changing, but there is still, I think, some progression and evolution to be done. I think eventually, these levees are going to break, because if the Grammys continue in the fashion that they were with letting it go to Macklemore over fucking Kendrick Lamar, they'll be irrelevant within a decade. But as long as they continue to understand that people like Tyler are making artistically substantive music And what they need to understand next is that, hey, he's also kind of making pop music. Pop music, especially in today's day and age, does not have a set amount or number of criteria or forms to it that has to be adhered to for it to be pop music. Consider how many pop artists out there today are having rappers on their songs, are backing up their tunes with trap beats. That's okay. It doesn't land Katy Perry or anybody else into the hip hop category. But if a hip hop artist or a black artist makes a pop song, it's more likely to land in the urban category, which is silly. So another thing that is going to pressure the Grammys into doing better, I think, is artists like Tyler coming out and speaking in the way that he is. Hopefully that is the result that we get. But like I was just saying earlier with this article over here, if you have people in the company who are being tasked to start diversifying, start making these alterations to eliminate these biases, which honestly should be more of a priority, just making sure these conflicts of interest aren't there. And then they're getting ousted after they've been tasked to do that. I don't know how quickly any of these changes are really going to come. Like, is the next CEO that is replacing Deborah going to be as radical, more radical, as willing to, pull levers, break and snap ropes and so on and so forth, and just orient the whole thing in a different way? Or will they just merely have to play quiet and be this new face that's just merely a visual of change while the rot continues underneath? I don't know. Hopefully, I don't have to be cynical going forward about the Grammys, and I can just be hopeful that things will alter with time. Over this past decade, we have seen small bits of progress, but hopefully there is more, and hopefully there is more room for a Tyler, the Creator, making pop music to have a foot in the pop category. I'm going to leave it at that. You guys are the best. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below, and I will catch you in the next video. Anthony Fantano, Tyler, the Creator, forever.